Just as good as the Gibson? I'll let you decide. Let's check out the Epiphone inspired by the Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul Custom. That phrase does get chucked around a lot in the guitar world. I think you'll agree that it's just as good as, better than. But what I would call this guitar is it's the right tool for the job. And what do I mean by that? Well, with the Epiphone inspired by the Gibson Custom Shop range, what I think their plan, well, certainly what I think their plan was to make that gap between Epiphone and Gibson even shorter than it was before. Now, most of us, if you are following, current guitars and whatnot, we all know that the price of things have, gone up in the past few years, and that's just the way things work. But with that, we have seen the emergence of quite a few really, really high spec guitars that, were maybe known for being the cheaper alternative a couple of years ago, and that's where I think this line sits in. So let's check it out. So if you just look at the spec sheet of the Epiphone inspired by the Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul Custom, which is certainly a mouthful to say as well, everything on the surface, it all lines up with its Gibson counterpart. We have a solid mahogany body with a maple cap on there, ebony board, we've even got those Gibson pickups in there, the 49R in the neck, and the 49.8T in the bridge, which is that classic Gibson Custom Les Paul setup, so you're going to be able to get all those big tones out of it that you were hearing in the intro. That's a full-blooded Les Paul if I've ever heard one, especially for those big riffs there. I'm actually using the brand new patch on the Line 6 Helix at the moment here. This is based on the Bogner Ecstasy, which I think is an absolute match made in heaven with this guitar. This guitar, if we're looking at the specs again, got the ebony board on it. It has that proper feel of the kind of 50s style neck on there as well. The only thing that I will say about this, it gives away immediately is obviously the feeling of just a standard glossy neck as opposed to the lacquer that you would get on the Custom Shop model. But that's just with my experience of obviously playing some higher kind of priced models in the shop, like the proper Gibson custom ones. But other than that, probably the most important thing, that headstock there, that open book headstock that Epiphone put on some of their guitars this year to the rejoice of Gibson fans anywhere. We did do a review of the inspired by the Custom Shop 59 model, so you can check that out obviously if you want the scope on that guitar as well. But let's maybe check this out with a couple of clean tones as well, because I think that's quite important when you're looking at a Les Paul. So here we go, this is just a kind of straight up. I'm kind of jumping up and down to change the settings on my Helix there as well, but here is just a kind of straight, kind of Fender Deluxe sort of sound. And I was always under the impression when I was growing up that a Les Paul couldn't do clean, but I think you'd all agree that sounds absolutely fantastic there, especially when you're kind of like working with those dynamics. And that's the biggest difference that I find those Gibson pickups in there make. I'm no stranger on this channel to championing guitars, you know, especially like Epiphones or Squires or anything like that, that I do think are really, really good. And the Epiphone Shinichi Ubicata 355 signature model that we did a review on months ago at this point, I ended up buying one of those because I really, really like it. But maybe let's stick on just a little bit of extra dirt and see how this handles with like more of just that kind of next step up, shall we? Again, showing with these kind of PAF style pickups as well that you don't need to change between patches there to actually like get a little bit of a clean out of your signal. Just work on those dynamics, and even like with these pots, these are the same type of pots that they put into the American models as well. You know, there it is on full with like one stage of overdrive on the Helix here. Getting a little bit carried away there with that, but I think that's kind of, you know, I would say that to anybody who is maybe aspiring for one of these guitars. Now, a Gibson Les Paul Custom these days, you're looking at above kind of £4,000 in the UK, certainly for time recording of this video here. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd maybe feel a little bit kind of sketchy taking out a £4,000 guitar if I was gigging or anything like that. Now, it's a dream guitar. People can do whatever they want with their own guitar. And certainly if it's been the dream one of yours, there's nothing better than standing on stage with your dream guitar. But that's not obtainable to absolutely everybody. So that's why I think it's really, really cool that Epiphone have got this sort of variation of that model. You know, it's not even a variation, it's a like for like, I would say at this point, just with the fact this one's made in China, the other ones are made over in the US, and there's a couple of other things like the paint job, like I said, but other than that, I think this is an absolutely amazing alternative to that Hall of Fame guitar that is the Gibson Les Paul Custom. But tell me what you think about the inspired by the Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul Custom. Do you play one? Do you play a Gibson Les Paul and you've maybe tried them against each other? I'd love to know your comparison. While you're down there, give us a like and a subscribe if you have liked the video at all, because you can keep up with all the latest news at Guitar HQ. But until next time, I've been Kieran. This has just been a very quick look at the Epiphone inspired by the Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul Custom. Have a great day.